Okay, this is section 3.8, actually. Slopes of parallel and perpendicular lines. If we have a parallel line, or two lines that are parallel, I'm going to use this symbol. That's my parallel symbol. If I have parallel lines, their slopes are identical. They're the same of two or more lines. What does that mean? I have two lines that will never intersect. So they won't never, let's say, touch. They'll never intersect each other. They'll never touch. Okay. Any two horizontal lines are parallel. Any two vertical lines are parallel. These guys are always parallel. They'll never touch each other. Alright, parallel lines, they have the same slope. They never touch each other. Horizontal lines are parallel. Vertical lines are parallel. And they give us a situation here. They want to know if these lines are parallel. Line 3 has points 13, negative, and 6, and has points -1 and 2. The way that we tell if they're parallel or not is that we take their slopes and we compare them. So slope is rise over run, which is y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1. In this case, I'll call these 2's and these 1's. So I have 2 minus 6, -1 plus 13. Gives me -4 over 12, which simplifies to -1/3. So my slope for the first one, so we say slope of 1 is -1/3. Okay, so then we have line 4, and that contains points 3 and 6 and 6 and 7. Again, for the slope of line 2, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. 2's and 1's, we'll say it's 7 minus 6 over 6 minus 3. 7 minus 6, 6 minus 3. That gives me 7 minus 6 is 1. 6 minus 3 is 3. I have positive 1/3. I have negative 1/3 for my first slope, positive 1/3 for my second slope. So M1 doesn't equal M2. So this is not parallel. M1 doesn't equal M2. So this is not parallel. Okay. In order for them to be parallel, they have to be the same number, and they have to be the same sign. Therefore, they are not parallel. Okay. Number 2, they ask you, what is the equation of a line parallel to y equals -x minus 7 such that it passes through point -5 and 3. Okay. Since my initial equation here has a slope of -1, that's our slope. So it has a slope of -1. The first thing I'm going to do is point it in point slope form and then put it in slope intercept form. So that's going to be y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Here's my y1. Here's my x1. Here's my y1. So this is going to be, and my slope is -1. y minus 3 equals negative 1. X, that's x minus negative 5, so that's x plus 5. I'm going to distribute the negative 1, and that's going to give me y minus 3 equals negative x minus 5. I'm going to add 3 on both sides, and that gives me y equals negative x minus 2. This is my equation of a line that's parallel to this equation and goes through that point. Okay. Then we have perpendicular lines. And perpendicular lines are lines that, that's the symbol for perpendicular. They're lines that when they intersect form a 90-degree angle. When they intersect. They form 90-degree angles. And the way that I know that I have perpendicular lines is that when I multiply their slopes, so if I have one slope, m1, and I multiply it by another slope, m2, I'm going to get negative 1. When I multiply them, I'm going to get negative 1, which means that they are negative reciprocals of each other. They are negative reciprocals. They are negative reciprocals. So let's use, for example, negative 3. Right? Its reciprocal is positive 1/3, such that when I multiply them, I get negative 1. So these two slopes would be considered perpendicular slopes. Okay? Alright, so same scenario. How do I find if two slopes are perpendicular? They give me a scenario up here where L3 has points 2, 7 and 3, negative 1. First thing I'm going to do, call this slope 1. Just get the slope, which is rise over 1, which is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. That gives me negative 1 minus 7 over 3 minus 2. And that gives me negative 8 over 1, which is negative 8. So that's my first slope. For L4, they give me a point of negative 2 and 6 and 8 and 7. We'll call this slope 2. We'll do the same equation, y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1. That gives me 7 minus 6. Seven minus 6. And then 8 plus 2. That gives me 1 over 10. So when I multiply these two slopes, if they're perpendicular, I'm going to get negative 1. So let's do that. Negative 8 times 110 gives me negative 8 over 10, which simplifies to negative 4/5 means these are not perpendicular. Or I can just see that they're not negative reciprocals of each other. So that makes them not perpendicular. Okay. Find an equation of a line that's perpendicular to that slope. So for number 4, my equation is y equals negative 3x minus 5. The point that I'm looking for has to go through point negative 3 and 7. First thing I got to do is find the perpendicular slope. So the perpendicular slope is going to be the negative reciprocal of negative 3. So that's going to be 1/3. The negative reciprocal of negative 3 is 1/3. So my perpendicular slope is 1/3. And that's the slope I'm going to use. Again, I can start off with the point slope form. And in this case, I'm going to plug in negative 3 and 7. So this is going to be y minus 7 equals 1/3 x plus 3. Distribute the 1/3. And I have y minus 7 equals 1/3 x plus 1. Add 7 to both sides, and my final answer is y minus 7 equals 1/3 x plus 8. This equal that is incorrect. Y equals 1/3 x plus 8. That is in slope-intercept form. And this equation is perpendicular to this guy up here at that given point. Okay, this is just more of the same, just in real world examples, so I'm not going to go over that. That is that section. Hope you have a great rest of your day.